All right. We haven't even started, and I'm already tired of being around you. It's been 15 minutes since I first saw you, and you've already exhausted me with the small talk that you'd like to make before a show.
Well, it's small talk that you consider gibberish, but in my head, it's borderline genius. Now, what I do want to bring up is the prognosis that I gave you 2 weeks ago about your ankle.
Okay.
I hit right on the button, right?
Yes.
Can you tell our audience what it was? Because I did say on air that you had a certain ankle STD.
It's not an ankle STD.
Chris Mannix has gout, ladies and gentlemen.
I do. I was diagnosed with gout in my foot. I've got this foot problem for a few weeks now. I told you not to mention it right before I started. And of course, you mentioned it. Can I mention the fact that you are the worst father I've ever heard of?
No,
your parenting advice.
Oh,
where
what advice, yeah.
Where you told me that my wife, because she is also a Mexican boxer, was going to leave our son at home. Unattended, because you did that when you were a first-time father.
Inadvertently unattended. You do it by accident. So, because you're so tired, being up all night that you forget that he's in the crib. So you got to go run your errands. And then when you're halfway down your errands, man, I got an infant at home and you got to make a U-turn and go back. It'll happen. It's an accident. It's fine. As long as it don't, nothing happens.
Parent of the year.
Did you get antibiotics for your
There's
gout?
no antibiotics needed for gout. It's not what you think it is.
All right, just checking.
All right. Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora. He's the fighter. I'm the writer. I don't know where we go from there to start the show. But
from gout to bouts.
We are gout to bouts. That should be the title. Actually, I think that will be the title of this episode.
There you
That's
go.
from
See?
gout to bouts.
I'm the artist in this pair.
All right, we got a lot to get into on the show today. We're going to talk about the future of Boots Ennis and the possibility that it could include a fight against Terence Crawford. Ben Whitaker has his first date with Matchroom Boxing. We're going to get into that. And Zhilei Zhang throwing his hat in the ring to be the opponent for Derek Chisora's final fight. We're going to talk about that as well. But Sergio, let's start as we do every week with our winners and our losers. Who do you got as your winner of the week?
Kazakh style, Janibek Alimkhanuli, finally getting a name, a champion to unify and try to get all the belts in the middleweight division. After so long, everyone's been avoided this 6 foot, Kazakh southpaw, because for good reason. The guy can fight, he has power, and he doesn't really bring anything to the table as far as recognition in his name, just those belts. So what's going to happen? He's going to face another guy that's avoided, that's a southpaw, and a Cuban warhorse like Erislandy Lara. So 2 slick, smart, experienced southpaws facing each other to unify the middleweight division. And hopefully, once you get the 3 belts, only 1 remains, and there can be a 4th to become undisputed, and maybe you can get the scent of Terence Crawford coming around the corner if that's the case.
Yeah, Carlos Adames would have the final belt that's out there. He is PBC connected as well, so that could definitely be on the table for the winner of that fight. I got to give PBC credit. This December 6th show that they're putting together is really good. It doesn't have the marquee headlining event. Lamont Roach against Pitbull Cruz is fine as a 140-pound fight. I think it's kind of a lot of co-main events that are bundled together, but they're really good co-main events. Roach against Cruz is a very good fight. Janibek versus Lara, very good fight for all the reasons you said. The Stephen Fulton versus Oshaki Foster,
excellent
130-pound title fight, that has been rescheduled reportedly for December 6th. So you've got a whole bunch of good stuff on this pay-per-view, and I like it. Look, Janibek has been out there trolling on social media, looking for any fight, any other champion that will face him. Erislandy Lara has been a once-a-year fighter. We haven't seen him in the ring since he beat Danny Garcia over a year ago. One of these guys will take a step forward. The other, honestly, probably Lara, will be gone.
Doesn't matter. Look at how long Lara's been around. 42 years old. He's only lost to Canelo, Paul Williams, Jarrett Hurd in the fight of the year. Even his draws. He has 3 draws. This man has never been stopped. Even his 3 draws are against champions. So it's incredible the career that he's had, and another Hall of Fame career that I hope gets on the ballot pretty soon. I think Erislandy Lara, just like I said last week with Danny Garcia, are these PBC fighters that were inactive at the later part of their career, but they sure brought enough to the table fighting the absolute best for such a long time.
You think Erislandy Lara is a Hall of Famer?
Yes, look at his resume.
He hasn't beaten a lot of these guys. Like, he's been in with them. He's he's a 2-division world champion, but this middleweight belt, he didn't really win. He kind of inherited it after Golovkin moved up.
Yeah, but he lost split decision to Canelo. He lost majority decision to Hurd, split decision to Paul Williams.
Which he should have won,
He's
by the way.
never been knocked out.
The Paul Williams loss was one of the great robberies in my time covering boxing. That was down in Atlantic City. I think the judges afterwards were all suspended in the aftermath of that. Arisley De Lara beat Paul Williams that night. So yeah, he's got some names there. I just don't think he's won enough big fights. And he's not been like this 3-division world champion. I don't know. I don't see it. I think he's a good fighter.
It won't be first ballot, but I think he deserves to be.
I think there are guys going to be on the ballot that are a lot better than him. My winner of the week, if you can believe it, is the WBA. That's right. I am going to give the WBA credit for doing something positive in the sport of boxing. This week, the WBA ordered a 147-pound title fight between Rolly Romero and Shakram Giyasov. Rolly Romero, of course, was gifted this title. He beat Ryan Garcia to win a secondary belt that really never should have been on the line. And then because Boots Ennis moved up in weight, he became the super champion within the WBA. Well, he's been out there talking about maybe making a fight against Ryan Garcia, talking about making a fight against Manny Pacquiao. Now, the WBA has stepped up and they have ordered this fight with Shakram Giyasov, which is the right thing to do. Shakram Giyasov has been the #1 contender for the WBA belt for over a year now. He stepped aside back in April to allow the Boots Ennis Amantas Stanionis fight to move forward with the understanding that he would be guaranteed a shot at the belt after that fight. Now, he is at least, per the WBA, going to get that opportunity. So I applaud Gilberto Mendoza and the WBA for making that decision. I tweeted this at him. Gilberto tweeted a couple things back at me as well. This is absolutely the right thing to do. They also ordered a couple of other fights. That was good as well. But Giyasov has been waiting. Giyasov stepped aside. Giyasov should get this shot at the world title coming up next. Now, I'll say this with one caveat, Sergio. I take this all back if next week the WBA allows Manny Pacquiao to fight Rolly Romero for this belt. Like after that, I take it all back. Because
so your praise is only going to last about a week.
Like if they follow through on this judgment, like this was the right decision for this committee to make. Giyasov is next. Giyasov is not some splashy name, but he has earned this opportunity through the WBA rankings, and he should be afforded it. Rolly Romero, he's had some time to make a fight. Nothing has happened with Ryan Garcia. Nothing yet has happened with Manny Pacquiao. You can't hold these belts hostage forever. I like this decision, and I hope the WBA follows through with it.
Hey, listen, short-term praise coming from you. I mean, I know how hard you've really criticized the WBC, WBA, all these sanctioning bodies, and I give you a lot of credit for that because it takes guts to do that, and you're absolutely right.
Not really. It's kind of low-hanging fruit.
Well, because we work in the business, to criticize.
None of these guys. None of these guys all.
But for you to do that and then actually throw them a bone once in a while when they do something right, then yeah. So you got to be even keel, and you're doing the right thing. Good for you.
All right, give me your loser of the week.
Dave Allen. The White Rhino disappointed me, man. I think he disappointed a lot of people across the pond because we expected more. Makhmudov outboxed him. We knew that he's the taller fighter. He had that amateur background. He has a big right hand. We know that he's a scary monster. He looks like a scary monster. But Dave Allen, he's one of these blue-collared, good fighters. I mean, don't look at the record. Look at how he fights. I mean, he was coming off some entertaining fights. He was building a blue-collar basis in his hometown and around that area, and he could have been a ticket seller. Not a world champion. He's never going to be a champion, but a ticket seller, someone that you can put on a main event if you put another name against him, and that's what he blew. I think Dave Allen, at this point of his career, where it was groomed, he was put there for he can actually become a blue-collared star, and he blew it. Didn't even try. If he at least tried, even go down swinging, or even show me some flashes of like, okay, you're trying to figure out something, or you got a plan B. He didn't do none of that. When he finally broke the range of the taller, longer Makhmudov, he didn't do nothing on the inside, and it's because of that. The White Rhino is my loser of the week.
Yeah. He had a guy in front of him that was big, strong, and pretty skilled. Makhmudov's amateur resume is pretty good. But you're right. He didn't let his hands go like he should have during that fight. And Makhmudov has shown that he can be a little bit chinny. He's been knocked out twice in his pro career. I mean, Aji Caballal overwhelmed him in their fight. Guido Vianello busted up his eye in their fight. So the blueprint was there for Dave Allen to do something big in this fight, and he just never did it. And he leaves a lot of money on the table because of that. Like, he's going to come back. Like, in the right fight, Dave Allen could still sell some tickets.
Yeah, but he's going from the main event to semi-main event. He's going to be an opener now.
I agree with you. I think that the big opportunity that I think Dave Allen blew was a shot at Anthony Joshua. Like, Dave Allen and AJ both promoted by Matchroom. If Dave Allen had beaten Makhmudov, we've heard Eddie Hearn say they're looking for a get-back opponent for Anthony Joshua. Dave Allen would have been perfect. A popular blue-collar guy, knows how to sell a fight, not really all that threatening, even though he's not a bad fighter. That would have been an ideal option for Dave Allen. It would have made him probably multi-million dollars to fight AJ, and now it's gone. That's off the table forever. So yeah, I'm with you on Dave Allen. Not a great week for the White Rhino. My loser of the week is the cruiserweight division writ large, because it wasn't long ago that we were talking about the cruiserweight division kind of having some sizzle to it. Like, Zurdo Ramirez jumped up there. He established himself as the biggest name at cruiserweight, unified champion, big name in the U.S. Jaya Pataya, star. Had some real star-making performances. Maurice Breedis, big knockouts on some big cards. Some other guys out there. Badu Jack is out there. Noel McGallion is out there. The division had some depth to it. The division had some sizzle behind it. And now it's just like a wasteland once again. Zurdo is out with an injury. We don't know when he's going to come back. Jaya Pataya is doing another ridiculous IBF mandatory against a guy that has no prayer of beating him. We're hearing now about some rematch between Badu Jack and Noel McGallion in Los Angeles. I don't know who's bankrolling that, but we'll see if that actually happens. I feel like the momentum that the cruiserweight division had several months ago, it's gone. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to get it back.
You know what? Now that you bring it like that and you bring it to life, yeah, you're right. Because you have the names, you have the potential. I mean, Jaya Pataya is an undefeated power punching star, but he doesn't get out of Australia. And then you have Ramirez, who they move him well. He's been moved well, but we want him against the bigger names. Badu Jack's another veteran, another warhorse that has been around such a long time. He just knows how to squeak by and survive and continue getting big fights. But hey, credit to Badu Jack. He brings that name. How come these guys aren't fighting each other? Yeah. I like that. They should be the losers of the week or the losers of the month, because that division could be so much more. It's becoming the Bridgerweight division of boxing.
I still want to see Zurdo against Jai, and
everyone does, Mannix.
And look, but no matter what, that fight was most likely always going to happen in Saudi Arabia. There just isn't enough money either in the U.S. or in Australia to make that fight happen. So I still want to see it. I just think it's lost some momentum. Zurdo's going to have to come back and test himself coming off this injury. Maybe Jai has one or two more fights before then. Now we're talking summer, fall of 2026. I just feel like time is being wasted at cruiserweight. It's disappointing that's happening.
I would like to see it in Australia because it needs a big fan base. And look, honestly, certain parts of like Sydney and certain parts, they will generate that money. They'll bring that interest to fly that fight all the way out there. You've seen it with Cambosis when he made Devin Haney go down there twice, and you've seen it all along. World champions back in the past, that if they can carry the name, they can carry fans coming and paying for it, they end up getting network money, sponsorship money.
Sometimes
Australians bring up the money to bring the big fights.
Sometimes the Cambosis Devin Haney circumstance was kind of a perfect storm, where Cambosis won the undisputed championship at 135, was a huge star coming off that, and at the time, the Australian government wanted to invest a lot of money to bring that type of event to Australia. I don't know that the government, which has not invested as much since then, is going to put up the kind of money you're talking about, the multi-millions of dollars to make that fight happen. I wouldn't mind seeing it because I think it would draw a crowd. Same thing if they did in the U.S., Southern California, Zurdo's got a fan base. I just think if and when that fight happens, it's going to be in Riyadh, because the money to make that fight happen is over in Saudi Arabia. All right, let's jump into what we're going to talk about today. And let's start with Boots Ennis, who was a few days removed now from his lopsided first-round knockout win over Wisma Lima. Boots, a fantastic debut at 154 pounds, got the job done, took less than 2 minutes to get Lima out of there. And since that win, all of the discussion has turned to a future fight between Boots and Virgil Ortiz. Virgil, of course, has a huge fight of his own coming up November 8th against Erickson Lubin. That's going to be a tough fight for Virgil. But if he gets through that, everybody now is talking about finally getting Virgil and Boots in the ring in the first quarter of 2026. But the question that I have is what happens if Terence Crawford throws his hat in the ring? We know Crawford is out there looking at his options right now, which presumably will not include a rematch with Canelo Alvarez, who's scheduled to have surgery at some point this month on his elbow. That injury likely to keep Canelo sidelined till at least the second half of 2026. Crawford does not have a natural option out there. He's not going up to 175 to fight David Benavidez. That's never going to happen. Going down to 160 right now doesn't make a ton of sense until they sort out the belts in that weight class. Is not really anybody that's a huge name at the moment at 168. We'll see what happens with Chris Eubank Jr. We've talked a lot over the years about Crawford and Boots Ennis, Sergio. Is now the time that Crawford should be looking at Boots as a potential opponent?
Like the Honorable Ned Stark once said in the Game of Thrones, anything that comes after the word but is bullshit or horseshit or one of those poops. No, I don't think it should. It shouldn't, because it's nonsense. Bud Crawford just had one of the biggest fights in boxing. It was a major success. $50 million that he made for that fight. The only one I could see Bud coming back for is a Canelo rematch. Other than that, at 38 years old, he's not going to make that money. He's not even going to make half that money fighting a guy, a dangerous fighter, a young fighter that's 10 years his senior in Boots Ennis, especially a champion that's getting accustomed to that 154-pound division.
Well, it wouldn't be at 154. Like, Bud's made it clear he's not going to 154. They'd meet in the middle probably at 160.
Well, then we would have to see how Boots reacts at 160. And we don't have that time. I don't think time is on the side of Bud Crawford to wait until, Boots moves up and gets another, fight at 160 when he just had his first fight at 154. It doesn't make sense, Mannix, and I'll tell you why. If it comes together organically, then yes, I'm all for it. But when you try to force it, no, man, we were dealing with two different species of plants. One's a bigger plant that already got, flourished and got the photosynthesis needed to grow properly and be nutrition.
What?
But people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Boots Ennis, it was his first fight at 154. He's not going to jump up again. I mean, he's great, but not Boots great. So no, I don't think that fight. I don't think that fight happens for many reasons. Money is probably the main one. Even if Turki Al-Sheikh gets involved and says, "I want Boots and I want Bud," he's not going to pay $25 million to Bud for that fight. That's way too much money. It's not worth that.
Are any of these fights worth the price tag that Turki is putting up? Like,
yes,
he is overpaying.
Some of them. How much would you pay Boots for that fight? For a Bud fight?
How much would I pay Boots Ennis to fight Bud
I would say
Crawford?
$5 million. That's affordable.
No,
that's
$10 million.
affordable.
$10 million.
I think, all right, so no more than that. Double that is what I would expect Bud Crawford to get. 25
for
there you
Bud
go.
Crawford.
And I don't think that pot of $35 million is worth that fight. It won't sell pay-per-view.
None of it is worth.
It won't sell pay-per-view. It won't be. It won't hit the right markets for it to be an all-time great pay-per-view.
I agree with that. But I'm just saying I don't think it matters all that much in the Saudi business model. Like a lot of these fights. Like, look, a lot of these fights that have been pay-per-view that take place over in Saudi Arabia, they do not do big numbers on pay-per-view. They just operate under a different business model than everybody else. I don't disagree with you to an extent. I don't think that Crawford should look to Boots Ennis right now. I think Crawford should wait and see how Boots versus Virgil plays out. If that fight happens, wait and see how that plays out. Because the winner of that fight, whether it's Boots or Virgil, another guy that's got history with Crawford, who's been talking about a Crawford fight for some time, the winner of that fight is going to take a big step forward in the public eye. Like, Eddie Hearn is certainly prone to hyperbole, but he's not wrong when he says that Boots against Virgil is one of the biggest fights you can make in U.S. boxing. Yes. That is right up there. You can make a list. It is on a very short list. That hits
the right market as well.
Right. Great. Mexican versus a black fighter. Put it in Las Vegas. Huge event. First quarter of 2025 or 2026. Whoever comes out of that fight is going to be a much bigger star, a much bigger name. So if I'm Terence Crawford, I'm waiting to see if that fight gets put together. Because if that fight happens in like March or April of 2026, You can say, all right, I'm ready to fight the winner. Let's go summer 2026, either in the US or over in Riyadh, and let's make that fight happen at a much bigger scale.
Yeah. And that's great promotion. That's great matchmaking. That's great everything when it's coming at the right time. But when you force it throwing money at one or forcing another guy to just move up in weight divisions again, just for a large amount of money to please certain fans like you, then that's when you're hurrying it up and you're not letting it form the way it should be. And it'll be great for Bud because you'll have the size advantage. You'll have every advantage. And it'll be a disadvantage.
You think he'll have a size advantage over
big.
Boots?
Oh yeah. It'll be a size. Everything will be on the advantage of Bud. Boots had one fight at 154. One, Maddox.
Okay, but you can't sit there and say that. Crawford had one fight at 154, then went up to 168. Crawford has fought exactly 2 times above 147 pounds.
Well,
Boots has fought 50% of the less than Crawford has at above 147.
Yeah, but Bud has been fighting champions since he was at 135.
That's not the conversation. We're talking about size. Boots is a career-long welterweight who is now moving up to 154. Bud started his career at 135 and moved his way up. I disagree strongly that there will be a size disadvantage in this fight.
Size in body and size in the magnitude of what they can bring to the table, what the skill and the experience.
Are you talking about multiple different things now?
It's just the grand scale, just size. You got a superstar. You got a guy that's on an elite level. He has on the pound for pound elite. He's alpha. He's top dog. All right, so he's at the top of the totem pole. Is Bud Crawford. Now, if you go down a couple of totem poles down, then you're going to fight a championship level and a guy that hasn't really been in there against all the champions, especially the big dogs in his weight division. And he's not proven. He gets hit a lot. I'm talking about Boots now. So no, it'll be a disparity in not only size, but in talent and in skill and in experience and a lot of things. And I don't think it's destined to happen right now.
You do this though, and you say stuff like this with. Like, you're trying to push Bud towards, like, retirement when he's not going to retire, not with this much money on the table. And if you're not, you have to tell me what's a better fight. Now, I can tell you, my reporting has indicated that Crawford is very, very, very interested in the Canelo rematch. They have offered that rematch to Canelo multiple times, twice by my count, and they've been turned down up until this point. Now, Canelo obviously has got an injury he's got to deal with, but Bud wants to do that rematch. So that tells me he's ready to go. He wants to get back into the ring. And if it's not going to be the winner of Boots Ennis against Virgil Ortiz, or not just going to be Boots Ennis, you got to tell me what's going to be. We have this conversation every single week, and you never have an answer about who he should fight.
I have one now.
Okay.
Carlos Adames at 160. Pick up another strap in another division.
Yeah, wow, that's a huge fight.
Whoa. I wish we can rewind just a few weeks ago when you said, when I mentioned Erislandy Lara versus Janabek, Alim Kanul, and you're like, whoa, sign me up for that one. Tickets are going to go off and now they're fighting.
Janabek versus Lara? Yeah, sign me up
and
for
now
that.
they're fighting.
Great.
No, you were being facetious.
No, I wasn't.
Yes,
Wrong word.
You're actually making fun of me, saying, "Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. No one's going to sell that. Who's going to sign up for that? No one's going to buy that fight."
Well, yeah, as a main event, no. As an undercard, great.
I'm going to look for that clip. Right. You actually were making fun of me there.
I usually do.
Yes.
But that's a great fight for undercard. I don't think it would have sold as a main event. As an undercard fight, it's phenomenal. Perfect undercard fight. Perfect co-main event if that's what it winds up being on that card. Love it.
Boots and Carlos Adames.
Crawford, you're saying, and Carlos Adames.
I mean, I'm sorry, Bud and Carlos Adames.
But you think that's a bigger fight than Crawford against Boots?
No, it's not. It's not bigger.
So what do you say? Like, tell me a bigger fight for Crawford than Boots Ennis.
Bigger, there's not. You just pick up another championship. That's it, another division.
So you basically just countered your entire argument by saying that Boots didn't bring enough to the table. There's nobody out there at 168 and below that brings more to the table than Boots. But
it's better than being stagnant, man. And just waiting for Canelo, waiting for that cash cow.
Right.
Pick up another championship.
Crawford has shown over the last 5 years, he is perfectly comfortable fighting once a year, and it doesn't cost him anything. He's able to stay in the gym, stay sharp. Maybe it's kept some miles off his tires a little bit. I would like to see Crawford let the Boots Virgil stuff play out, because the winner of that fight is going to have some history with Crawford, and the winner of that fight is going to be a lot bigger because of it.
So you want him to wait, be on the shelf, wait for
I would
Canelo.
say wait till next summer. Like he's a every summer type of fighter.
39 years old.
The way it is. Almost 39, yeah.
No, I would want someone that he had
Carlos Adames. Let's bring that fight
He had his toughest camp against Canelo, and it showed. He shined. Why are you going to let yourself go out of shape for a year?
Do you think he gets out of shape?
No, I don't think he gets out of shape.
Never.
He has no bad habits, but I'm sure he stays in the gym. But to stay, to continue that greatness, man. I mean, we're talking an all-time great and pick up another world championship in another division that's really possible in a fighter in Adames who comes at you. He's forward. He's aggressive. He's not going to be as big or strong as Canelo. I think it makes sense. I mean, Hamza Shiraz almost beat him in a draw that. Whatever.
Look, if he wants to stay busy and he wants to get a middleweight belt and give himself some options to face the winner of Janibek versus Lara, that's fine. It's just not a huge fight. And I think the bigger fight is obviously the winner of Boots against Virgil. So if he wants to come back in March around the same time that Boots and Virgil fight, great. Do that. Set up a fight for the summertime. I also think that Matchroom Golden Boy, one of them, should find a way to sign Abbas Barreu, this other title holder at 154. Put him on the undercard of Boots against Virgil with the understanding that he wins his fight, give him a nice little title defense. If a Boots Virgil winner cannot get a bigger fight, then Barreu will fight the winner of that fight for the world title. So set up an opportunity for that person to get a full belt.
Yeah, that's something that promoters do to strategically put their A-side fighter to become a unified champion, undisputed champion. I can see Matchroom doing that because they're international.
Hey, Matchroom, Golden Boy, whoever is, they're both going to be involved in a Boots versus Virgil fight. Let's make that ultimately happen. All right, let's talk about Ben Whittaker, who has his first official fight date with Matchroom. That is going to happen on November 29th. Ben Whittaker 9-0-1. His last time out, he avenged his draw against Liam Cameron with a pretty impressive knockout win. He has built, Sergio, a pretty big following, more than 3.5 million followers on social media, based largely on his flashiness in the ring. He is a stylish fighter with a lot of movie-style moves in the ring. That first fight against Cameron, though, maybe exposed some weaknesses to him. Now, he's changed some things since then. He is working with Andy Lee, who you and I both like. He's gotten out of his kind of comfort zone and gone to train with Andy. Now he has this new deal with Matchroom, which Eddie Hearn swears will lead to Ben Whittaker becoming a world champion. So I'll put it this to you. Will Ben Whittaker become a world champion at 175?
Yes, but not in the next year or two. I could see him becoming a champion once the monsters in that division. I'm talking about the triple Bs, Bivol, Beterbiev, and Benavidez. I don't see him competing with neither of those guys. And even if you go down the list, you still
Benavidez ain't going anywhere for a long time.
No, he is not. So that's why you asked me. I'm being honest with you. I mean, I don't see him becoming a champion. And he's already had a hiccup in a draw because he worries about flash. And he has good pop in his punches. He's an athletic fighter. He's an athletic boxer. And he has a following. He, silver medalist. He has all that. But when it comes to winning a world championship, you have to beat a champion. And I don't see him beating any of the three-headed monsters I just mentioned. So maybe in 2 years, or if he drops down 168 and picks up a strap, a vacant strap there, I can see him becoming champion. But at 175, I don't see it in the next 2, maybe even 3 years. So maybe he should just continue winning, being a ticket seller. We just proved that you don't have to be a champion to garner all that success and excitement from fans. So I think Ben Whittaker can put himself in that position to just be popular, a ticket seller, and just bide his time until one of those championship belts fragments and becomes available.
I think he'll be a world champion. I do think we're probably 2 years away from him getting that opportunity. And we should be. I mean, Ben Whittaker is 28 years old, but he has only had 10 professional fights. You can't compare him to Dmitry Bivol, who's been a pro since the early 2010s, or David Benavidez, who has been a top guy in 2 weight divisions for some time. He's just not on that level yet. He is a 8 to 10 round fighter who is still trying to develop his resume. But when I watch Ben Whittaker, if you strip away kind of the, YOLO punches and the backhands and all the showmanship he shows in the ring, there's obvious skills there. Like, he won a silver medal for a reason. How he performed against Liam Cameron in that rematch, I think, was evidence that this kid's got it. Like, Liam Cameron, look, the way that first fight ended, and we were both there, right, when that fight played out.
Yeah, we watched it.
I kind of believe that Ben Whitaker was looking for a way out of that fight. It wasn't going his way. He went over the ring rope, said he sprained his ankle, all that stuff. He came back in the rematch, and he was dominant. And when I talk to people that know Ben Whitaker, they think Andy Lee's had a huge impact. We know Andy Lee's had a big impact on a lot of fighters, Joseph Parker, among others. And getting out of his comfort zone, getting away from his hometown, friends, family, that's helped him as well. I think you combine those two things, the talent with the new team and the where he's training together, I think you're going to see a world champion develop. I think Matchroom, going to fight end of November, great. 2026 should be about activity. Fight him 4 or 5 times in 2026. You have the benefit of being able to headline him like he's a draw. Like he's a draw in Birmingham. He's able to sell tickets. You can keep running those types of shows back. Don't worry about a world title in 2026. Maybe start thinking about it in 2027 when he's 15, 16 and 0. And I think by that point, after all the time he's had with Andy Lee, all the development he's had with Matchroom's matchmakers of getting him, up to these Liam Cameron next level type of guys, I think he'll get there. I do think there's a champion inside of him.
He reminds me, and he can take a page out of this fighter that I'm going to mention, because this fighter and Caleb Plant, not only do they have similar style, they have the same speed and footwork and flash, and they have pop, but they don't have power. Caleb Plant picked up a championship against Jose Uzcategui. Then he had some minor defenses that are forgettable. The Subway guy, Mike Lee, was one of them. Smaller fighters in Caleb Truax. So he had 4 or 5 defenses, and then what happened? He got the $10 million payday against Canelo. He gets a couple small fights. What does he do again? He gets another big payday against Benavidez. That's the type of career that he can have, not only because he has the same style, but he has the same marketability and the same thing. So I can see him having a grand, successful career if he follows that game plan. Know the opponents that you can beat and wait for the big names to cash out. I just don't think the big names are going to be looking at him unless he's bringing something to the table. So if he can make that popularity into ticket selling where people want to see him, then the big names will have to look his way.
I think the big names will be looking at him because he is a popular young guy. I think more importantly, he should not be looking the ways of the bigger names. Like even if he gets a knockout win on November 29th, follows it up with a knockout win in like mid-February, keep the brakes pumped on world championship level opponents for Ben Whitaker. He's just not there yet. You can't, I guess you can in today's modern age of Uzbeki fighters fighting for world championships at 8, 9, 10 fights in. But for Ben Whitaker, even though he's on the older side for a prospect, he is still a prospect. I would get him a full slate of fights in 2026, a full slate of training camps with Andy Lee. And I think by the end of 2026, going to 2027, we're going to be talking about like Ben Whitaker against Benavidez. That's a great fight. Ben Whitaker against an aging Dimitri Bivol. That could be a great fight. I think we're a year and a half away from really having those conversations, but we're just not there yet with Ben Whitaker.
Him and Moses Itauma on the same card, just selling out arenas.
Different promoters, I guess. Matchroom has Whitaker and Moses Itauma has Queensberry there, but yeah, maybe some Saudi cards. You could do that as well. Could work out well. All right, last thing. Derek Chisora, as far as we know, is still headed towards
another guy that you wanted to get rid of. And I recycled. I
didn't say get rid of.
You're like, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get brain damage. He shouldn't be around.
You got to be careful.
Now he's another topic on our show.
Yes. Well, Derek Chisora still seemingly barreling towards that farewell fight, his 50th pro fight, reportedly on December 13th. Seen a lot of names throw their hats in the ring to fight Derek Chisora. We've heard Deontay Wilder's name mentioned. We've heard Jarrell Miller's name mentioned. And more recently this week, Zhilei Zhang, the Big Bang, has gone on social media calling for a fight against Derek Chisora. A couple of years ago, Derek Chisora was the one calling for a fight against Zhilei Zhang. He wanted to go over to China to fight Zhilei Zhang in Beijing. The Bird's Nest have a big event over there. Now with Zhilei Zhang, who has fallen on some hard times as of late, lost 2 of his last 3, knocked out by Adji Kabial in his last fight. He's looking to make a fight with Derek Chisora. If you're Chisora, is Zhilei Zhang a good opponent for your farewell fight?
It's the ideal opponent. They're both 42 years old. Zhilei Zhang has been stopped before. He's a slow, plodding, big fighter. He's a southpaw, but he doesn't fight like a southpaw. He stands right in front of you. He's a plodding, slow, heavy-footed fighter. that Chisora has the experience to kind of get angles on. Chisora likes guys that bring the fight to him. And I think experience-wise, technique-wise, Chisora might have the upper hand. Now on size and power, it's going to be Zhilei Zhang. But yeah, I think it's a perfect matchup that I never even thought of. I never thought of Chisora fighting a Zhilei Zhang. But at this point of his career, the Big Bang and Chisora makes all the sense in the world. And I'm glad that Chisora is getting this opportunity. Like I said before, whether it's his farewell fight tonight, which I hope it is, that's the way to go against a big, strong guy that's going to stand right in front of you. And one of you guys is going to go down. One of you guys is going to go hit the canvas and get knocked out. That's the way to go out into the sunset. If you're Derek Chisora, he's going to headline. He's going to have a lot of people supporting him. He's going to have a great undercard. So I applaud him. That's the reason I'm so happy for this man after all the blood that he spilled to get to this position, to, come up short time after time against champions. Now he may not win a championship, but he's going to go out like a champion. And I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I don't hate the fight for Derek Chisora. If it was a couple of years ago, I probably would have. When Zhang was coming off that knockout win over Deontay Wilder, I would have said there's no way you should do that. That's when Zhang was starting to peak as a heavyweight, looking like someone that could challenge at Usyk or an AJ or one of the top names in the heavyweight division. But the guy I've seen the last couple of years has looked very much like the early 40s fighter that he is. Dropped Joseph Parker twice, but then got outboxed for like the other 10 rounds. Did not have anything in the gas tank against Adja Caballal. And look, Caballal's a very tough guy to keep the gas tank full against, but he was wiped out in the middle part of that fight. Zhang and Chisora, two guys that can crack a little bit, and two guys that if we get to the 6th round of this fight, they are going to be just falling all over each other. Like, they are not going to have enough energy to make it anything but a slobber knocker in the second half of this fight. So I don't hate it. I think that should be on Chisora's list. It's also a global event. Zhang fights. He's big still over in China. I know his Chinese numbers on social media are really good. So if you're trying to, for DAZN anyway, you're trying to develop a global property, that's a good idea to do. The other name I would throw out there, though, is Dave Allen. Like, we talked about Dave Allen.
See, his stock,
I agree.
His stock dropped.
Hold on.
He doesn't deserve it.
It would have been better had Dave Allen won. But even without the win, he's still a big enough name in UK circles and enough of a non-threatening opponent to make some sense for Chisora. My issue, Sergio, with Chisora is that at some point, whether it's this fight, and I think there's going to be another fight. Like, if Chisora wins, there's no way he's going out without a title shot. At some point, he's going to get in the ring with somebody that can really hurt him. And we've seen Chisora. We've
bringing
seen him,
the black cloud into the pot studio.
Do you think Chisora's been hit too many times?
Man, I've been hit too many times. Every fighter's been hit too many times.
I think Chisora's been hit a lot more than you.
That's part of being a fighter, a championship level fighter, a guy that's never going to become a champion.
But he's in his 40s.
He's given the best to everybody. And fighters are going into their 40s nowadays. We just finished talking about Lara. There's a lot of fighters that...
Lara's a once-a-year middleweight, not involved in
There's going to be an exception to every rule that I throw at you, and you're always going to have it, in your pocket. I'm happy for Chisora. It's not like he's getting knocked out. He's on a 3-fight win streak. The dude wants a farewell fight, hopefully a big fight where he puts some money in his pocket. So I'm happy for.
Okay, so hypothetically,
and Dave Allen doesn't deserve it because he's coming off a disappointing loss. Why are you going to put him into another big fight?
You're not talking about two guys that are elite heavyweights. I don't care what Chisora's
Yeah, but
ranked.
one's on a winning streak. The other guy disappointed
the other guy
on
lost
the big stage.
a fight. Before that, he was on a winning streak.
A very disappointing fight. I mean, he just didn't bring it. He probably doesn't have it. He doesn't have it against the bigger names.
Still got it?
I think Chisora's not intimidated by the moment. And I think we saw Dave Allen wet the bed in the moment.
Against a guy that could crack a little bit and was not as bad as people thought in Makhmudov going into that fight. I want Chisora to have a nice, relatively safe final fight for his farewell. I don't want to see him stretched out like we've seen him against guys like David Haye, against Dillian White, against Tyson Fury, getting beat up the way he did in that fight. I don't need to see any more of that from a guy in his early 40s. That's why I think if you're putting on that fight, you got to be real selective with who you choose to fight Derek Chisora. I think Zhang makes some sense. I think that Dave Allen makes some sense. Somebody like AJ does not make sense. Somebody like Moses Talma does not make sense. Like some of these heavier hitters who are younger, fresher, sharper in the heavyweight division, I don't want to see him in that kind of fight. Give him the nice send-off that he wants in front of his crowd, in his backyard, and then let that be it. Even though, like I said, I think if he wins, he's going to call for like a rematch with Usyk.
Nonsense. Do not go gentle into the dark night. You should burn and burn and burn if you're Chisora all the way to the dying of the light. You go out on your shield and everyone praises you for it because he's been a fighter from the beginning to the end. He has a dozen losses. No one gives a hell about it because he always comes to fight. And if he happens to go out on his shield like the warrior he is, as long as he got paid for his time, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You, on the other hand, want to think about the negatives. I want to think about the positives. I want to think about him, going out with a huge win and a huge payday and in glory. If it's not a championship, at least with his arms raised.
Which movie did you take that quote from?
It's a poem by some
I know it
old
is, but
poet.
I don't believe you read the poem. I believe you saw a movie that quoted it. Like Batman? Is that where you got it from?
Interstellar.